Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a tag video. So this is a new tag. This is the Trans-inclusive beauty tag that was created by my friend Dani over at Scars to Stars. I don't know if anybody else has done this tag yet, but I've been wanting to since I saw her video, and I finally have the time to today. Feeling a little lazy. It's gray and rainy and gross out, but they're not being super loud outside, although there is a leaf blower. And so I threw on some quick comfy makeup, comfy clothes, and have a little time to film. And if you're new here, welcome. My name is Colin. I'm a non-binary Latinx scientist and lover of makeup with a definite soft spot for indie makeup and apparently now luxury makeup. And I tend to be pretty analytical in my approach to my collection and in my reviews. And I have new content every week, so I'd love to have you subscribe. Okay, before I start, if you are curious about makeup, I was feeling lazy, so I didn't wear foundation or anything today. I just have some concealer on. It's just my Kosas concealer where I needed it around some redness here and here in my eyes. And then I put a single eyeshadow on and some blush and a light layer of bronzer, and that's it. And some brow gel. And my lip is just a easy nude lip. I purchased some skincare from Clinique, and I got a trial size of the Almost Lipstick in Black Honey, and it is very, very comfy and very nice for that, like, no makeup lip. So like I said at the beginning, this is the Trans-inclusive beauty tag. This was created by my friend Dani. I will have her channel and video linked down below. So this should be a pretty quick video. It's only a few questions. I think it's like 5 or 6 questions. But I think this is a really important topic to talk about: trans inclusivity and gender nonconforming inclusivity and queer inclusivity in general in the beauty world and the beauty space. I think it's not talked about as much as it should be. So and some brands and some things do much better than others. So I also want to say before I start that I do consider myself trans non-binary. So not all non-binary, I do want to put this little disclaimer here, not all non-binary people consider themselves trans, and not all trans people are non-binary, obviously. There are most trans people are binary trans, you know, male to female, female to male, all of that. But the definition of trans is just the opposite of cis, and cisgender and transgender are just descriptive terms to say, does your gender align with what it was assigned at birth, or does it not? And the fact that my gender is non-binary and I feel like my gender is kind of an androgynous mixture of things, that is not how I was assigned at birth. I was assigned male at birth, and I never felt like a man or a woman or anything. So by definition, I am trans because I'm not my gender identity and my gender do not align with what I was assigned with at birth. But I did want to put that little disclaimer at the beginning, because I know that is terminology that's new for some people and sometimes confusing, and some non-binary people don't consider themselves trans. But in general, non-binary people are accepted and kind of under that giant trans umbrella. So the first part is, what is your name? What are your pronouns? And why do you feel using pronouns are important? So my name is Colin, as I've said, and especially if you're new here, hi. And my pronouns are they, them, or they, them, theirs. I feel using pronouns is important because it shows just a basic level of respect. Most people's pronouns, for the vast majority of the population, are obvious and easy and not something you really need to think about. We use pronouns all the time. I hate seeing all of those comments that are like, I don't use pronouns. It's like, do you know what a pronoun is? Because a lot of the time in those videos, I see people say on TikTok that they don't use pronouns or something. They use multiple pronouns in that sentence. I found a video recently of someone being like, okay, you don't use them. And they responded to them using no pronouns in their sentences. And the person was like, why are you talking like that? It was like, you said you don't like pronouns, so I'm not using any of them. But it just shows a basic level of decency, and talking about pronouns is important, and using proper pronouns, asking people, because it normalizes it. it makes it acceptable. I know my husband and my best friend both put their pronouns in their email bios and make sure that they use their pronouns when talking to new people, because it normalizes it. If you put the burden on and saying your pronouns and using proper pronouns only on trans and non-binary people and gender non-conforming people, it puts that huge burden on them instead of just making it a normal part of life. There is a leaf blower or something going on across the street, so hopefully you can't hear that, but if you can, I'm sorry. But I don't have too long to film before there is another meeting, so can't really hold off for too long. So the second part is, where do you see trans-inclusivity currently, and where do you see it going in the coming years? I see it's definitely progressed a lot. I don't know if this is specifically for beauty, or just in general. I think it's more in general. I think it's come a long way. We talk about it more, it's more well known. Trans people have been here for a long time. We've existed for a long time. We're just not hiding as much, and there's more awareness and self-acceptance. So there's a lot, you see people coming out later in life because they always felt this way, but they were too scared, or there was some reason they couldn't or didn't know, oh, like that is a term for what I am or how I feel. And I think we're seeing it, inclusivity in general is becoming, it's better. It needs to improve. So for trans inclusivity in general, it's definitely improved, and it really depends on where you live. It's pretty decent here in Seattle. It's okay in New York, but it's still not very safe. It's still like me wearing, not every person that wears makeup that is assigned male at birth is trans or non-binary. But just by wearing makeup, I get called names much more on the street. So having it more normalized definitely improves that, helps things. There's so much political pushback against us and against queer people in general, and I think it's, once again, trying to use this as scapegoats and ignore real problems. And we need to get past that for real inclusivity to actually happen, but we're working towards it, and hopefully we'll continue in the right direction. Okay, so the third question is, why do you feel it is important to be inclusive of trans folk in all spaces, not just the beauty space? And that again goes back to the first part about just normalizing it. We exist, we have always existed, and decades ago we would have been, villainized and attacked even more than we are now. So by normalizing things and including us and making things normal in all spaces helps us just exist. Like, think about how far gay people have come in the media in general in the last 20, 30 years. Like, you look back at like Will and Grace was groundbreaking because it showed gay people and straight people being friends and had a gay kiss on TV. And that was, the late 90s, early 2000s. In the last 20 years, there's still a lot of homophobia. I get called the F slur and other things on a weekly basis, and I have for most of my life, even before I knew what those words meant. But we've come so far, and by normalizing and queer people in general, you let us just exist and be ourselves. We're not here to try and push an agenda other than we are also humans and deserve equal rights, and we exist and should be allowed to exist as ourselves. So by being more inclusive to trans folk in all spaces, not just the beauty space, it just normalizes our existence that's already there. We are a small part of the human population, but we are a part of the human population and deserve to exist just like everyone else. And the more we normalize and accept people for existing and being who we are and allowing people to express themselves as they need to, the more freedom we all have. Like, you think of, you're seeing makeup brands aimed at men that are no makeup for men are becoming more of a thing. And it's great. People should be allowed to express themselves how they see fit. We shouldn't try to all be a homogenous, boring, bland blob. People are creative, people want to dress and look a lot of different ways, and we should allow that. And I think including trans people and allowing trans and non-binary people to be visible and thrive lets everybody be more themselves. Okay, so the fourth question is, what trans content creators would you like to spotlight, and what have you learned from watching their content? This can also apply to non-beauty community folks. There's not a ton of trans and there are a lot of trans and non-binary creators out there. Dani mentioned a bunch that I will also, Dani for one, but also I will include some of the ones that she mentioned. Some of the ones that I immediately thought of are my friend Sky, who has a YouTube channel. They are much larger than me right now, but they are one of the first non-binary trans people I saw in the YouTube beauty space, and was really refreshing and really, really like their content. Hope Mess Tom is non-binary, really enjoy their content. They grew a lot the last year, and it makes me happy to see, especially like when larger creators like Kaki, she has 70,000 subscribers or something, and I see her talk about Hope Mess Tom. It just makes me happy to see that inclusion and that normalization of trans and non-binary people. Clove Room is a newer content creator that has posted a few videos, and I've really enjoyed their content so far. They seem really nice. They did a tag video and tagged me in that, and they popped up, and I was like, oh, really like your content. So they are just starting out. They only have like 3 or 4 videos, so I will also link them down below. There's definitely others that I'm forgetting right now, but those were the ones that like immediately popped into my head. And I think what you can learn from watching these people, and what I've learned, is just like seeing people be authentically themselves lets you, one, you can learn their perspective on things and see how it can inform your perspective, but also just seeing people be authentically themselves helps you be authentically yourself, which is basically what I said before too. Okay, question 5, what brands do you see putting trans-inclusivity into practice, and can you provide examples? This can also be non-beauty related. So for beauty brands, there are a handful that I do see being trans and queer inclusive. Lethal Cosmetics was one of the first ones that came to mind. They have been very supportive of me. They've been very sweet. I talk to them all the time. Their first collaboration that they did before the ones with Teresa was with a trans influencer, a German trans influencer, because they are a German brand. They post all genders and skin tones on their Instagram feeds and video, so they're very good at just showing human diversity. Trixie Cosmetics, they are queer owned, so it's not surprising. I think a lot of the staff is queer probably. I know their photographer is for sure, because I know their photographer. And they did the collab with Juno Birch, who is a trans drag queen. Sigma Beauty, I put on here, they've done a decent job about posting various people on their platforms. I know they've sent Dani PR, so that's one thing. They've done pride collabs and stuff that seem to actually care about the community versus just trying to be a marketing thing. House Labs for sure, especially the original House Labs. They had lots of trans and non-binary models and people in their ads, very all in on gender expression and expressing yourself as you wish. And I think the new brand has done a decent job as well. They're not showing as much since going to Sephora, but they're still showing it, and they haven't been they haven't been in Sephora that long, so we'll see how they. And Lady Gaga herself has always been a huge advocate for the queer community. She is bi, so she is part of our community, but she's always done a really great job about celebrating her queer fans and the community itself. And when people have made comments about her and what her body and all of that, she's always been like, why does it matter? I'm not going to answer your questions or even amuse your idiotic questions. Like, it's stupid, doesn't matter. So I think that's always been I think that was one of the things that drew me into House Labs when they first launched, despite the Amazon stuff, was the branding and Lady Gaga herself. And then the products were really fun and nice. I feel like Milk Makeup is another brand that's done pretty well. They post a variety of people in their feed and in their ads. And then as a company, 1% of all of the money that they make goes to the center, which is a queer community center in New York that does a lot of really great work. So I really love that about them as a company. Fluid Beauty is one that I wrote down. They're closed down now, but they did an amazing job. But they were a very queer-owned brand with a very queer vibe about expressing yourself. So I think that goes without saying. I think Fenty has done a really good job. You see a lot of queer people in Rihanna's underwear line as well. So I think Fenty has done a very good job over the years being inclusive for body types, skin color, gender expression, everything. So there's lots of other brands that are probably out on the market that you see some, but I think it's just something to watch out for. Like when you're looking through an Instagram feed from a brand, it's something that I actively do, but I think everybody should do, is look through who are they posting, who are they reposting, what do their models look like? Are they all thin white people? Are they all thin white women? Are they all, like 20-something-year-old thin white able-bodied people? Are they showing a diverse range of people from skin tone, body size, age, gender expression, all of that? That is something that is important because all of those things are part of human variation and exist in the world, and they should be represented. And if you see a brand that's not showing that, it's always a little sus to me. So there are definitely brands that I have not purchased from because when you look at their ads, when you look at their website, when you look at their Instagram page, they're very non-inclusive in their postings, and that is an immediate red flag for me. So I'd really be interested to know what brands you think are really inclusive, and let me know in the comments below, because I'd really enjoy to see like what creators, what brands, all of that. I'd like that feedback because there's always more for me to look at. Okay, and then the last part, number 6, is please post your video, reel, TikTok using the hashtag trans-inclusive-beauty tag and trans beauty tag to make your content easily findable. I will be doing that. I don't know when this video will be going up, probably in the next few days, but I will be doing that. And if you have a TikTok account, an Instagram account, a YouTube account, I recommend trying out this tag and posting it, especially if you are in the queer community in general. But even if you're not, I think, once again, doing this kind of stuff, talking about pronouns, posting all the different body types and expressions that exist in the world is important to normalize it. And so even if you're not trans, even if you're not in the queer community, posting this kind of tag and this kind of video is important and gets the word out there. So I'd highly recommend doing it. So thank you so much for Dani for creating this tag. I'm really happy I got to do it. I will have this video up in a couple days. I will have Dani's video in the description box. And I will also include the questions down there so that you can do them if you want, or if you want to even just answer some of the questions in the description box, let me know. I'd love to know your answers. And I think Dani is going to make a playlist for anybody who does do this so that we can easily find all of them. So that is the end of the tag. As always, thank you so much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video.